o'clock on Monday, December 15th. And we'll call the city council meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone, and if you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Kathy? Here. Harlan?
Here.
Brad?
Here.
Rodney?
Here.
Jessica? Here. Don?
Here. Entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about the agenda? Roll call, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harlan?
Yes.
Brad?
Sorry.
Yes. Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Kathy?
Motion carried.
Are you reassured?
I am. Across the mayor's desk, I would like to thank, we have Elijah Garrett with us today as our videographer. And I also want to thank Rodney. Today's Rodney's last city council meeting, so I'd like to thank you for your commitment and contributions for the last 8 years. Thank City Council, we appreciate what you've done. And also want to take this opportunity to thank city staff for what you've done to keep Algona moving forward and being progressive this past year. So thank you very much. City Council have anything they'd like to share? Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 6, update from the city administrator.
Well, we've got our fill of snow for the year, but we've got ways ahead of us. So just some reminders for folks out there that we're going to be pushing out. Just, when we declare snow emergency, that's on KLGA, city social media, and then we can sign up for updates through the Alert Iowa, through the County Emergency Management. And then it is for the first night of parking in the downtown lots, side A, second night, side B, and then continue to rotate, as well as then our ordinance does state for residents have 24 hours when it stops snowing to remove snow from sidewalks. So I know we have a number of sidewalks throughout town that haven't had that. Some of them not from the first storm yet, so those nuisance abatements have gone out this week. And they have an opportunity to clear those, and if not, it'll be a city contractor going in and taking care of those sidewalks. Just to try to be accommodating and reasonable with folks. We don't that 24 hours we're count the hours and immediately getting out there, but it's really we see okay, day 2, day 3. We need to make sure people remember that they need to be shoveling their budding sidewalks. And then an update on Nebraska and Thornton Street. The streets did open Friday afternoon. There is some work getting finished up this week, and we'll have to finish next spring. But Matt Cole with Bolton Bank can provide a little bit more context. Thank you.
Yeah, Jacob said the street and the parking lot are fully open and accessible to the public. The only stretch of concrete that did not get finished was the mainline sidewalk on the south side of Nebraska, kind of from the Dairy Queen to Thornton Street, along with those pavers in that stretch right along those permeable parking stalls along Nebraska. There's permeable sidewalk pavers abutting that stretch. So that area is kind of going to be no parking for the winter. The city might pile some snow there. There's cones kind of blocking it off right now. Other than that, the only other small sections of concrete that remain were the seating area in front of Dairy Queen. There's a decorative curved shape section of sidewalk right in front of the Dairy Queen's glass there. And then the patches in the alley, which will remain gravel for the winter. So in the springtime, the remaining concrete will get poured. It's probably 2-3 days worth of concrete work, along with those pavers, and then all the plantings and trees will be needed to be finished up in the springtime, along with the permanent striping for the parallel parking stalls along Thornton that aren't in the permeable pavers sections that have the stripes built into the pavers. So obviously the project got done later been anticipated and kind of drawn out a little bit farther here than we all wanted, but overall the project components are all there, and the funding is all still in place for the water quality features, and that will get wrapped up in the spring and be fully functional and open and finalized out by June 1st of 2026 is the final completion date. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
And then we do have a press release that we finished up today that I think goes to make Thursday's newspaper, just to provide the public an update on kind of what got done and where things stand for finishing up next spring.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 7, the citizens' opportunity to speak to the council, and there's no one here else in the council chamber, so we'll move to consent agenda, and that includes approving the minutes from our December 1st regular city council meeting, approve the bills to be paid this cycle, approve the numerous alcohol permit applications that everyone received in their packets, approve the department reports, as well as approving the minutes from the various boards and commissions that met. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Brad. Any discussion? Roll call then.
Kathleen? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. We move to new business, agenda item number 9, and that involves accepting the calendar year 2026 budget from Algonah Municipal Utilities. And John Bilstein, General Manager, is here to visit with us.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, for giving me a few minutes to talk about our 2026 utility budget. I also want to echo the Mayor in just thanking city staff and thanking all of you in the council and Mayor for the great working relationship that we have between Algonah Municipal Utilities and the city, with our staff and the city staff, Jacob Dead, and others. So we really appreciate that, and together we're doing some great things. So thank you very much. The proposed 2026 utility budget and notice of public hearing were published in the Kasuth Advance on November 27th, 2025. Then subsequently, there was a public hearing for our 2026 utility budget held on December 3rd. After the public hearing and presentation, the Board of Trustees approved the 2026 utility budget, which Jacob has included in your board packet. So that budget that you see in front of you there is the form that we put together, the state budget form that I think you're familiar with because you have a similar one that you see.
We're working on that.
I'm not tech savvy.
Oh, there it is. Move the chair.
There you go.
So you have several numbers in there, but really the main part of it is that the 2026 utility budget, we have two big components. What are our anticipated revenues for the year and anticipated expenses? So for 2026, all three utilities combined have anticipated revenue totals of $33,173,001. Then our total expenses are anticipated for the year of $32,720,576. That results in a total excess anticipated of $452,425. So those are monies that would go into reserves for future projects, things like that, provided again that we're anticipating where our revenues and expenses come in. We believe that we're very close at that. You'll also notice in the budget that we show additional funding in there, which would be electric revenue bonds totaling $5 million. And we're doing that potentially for a few major projects that I'll talk about in a minute. But we still have not determined whether or not that full $5 million will be necessary in 2026. So we're working through with our financial consultant, grid consultants, determining if we will in fact need to go out and issue debt in 2026. So we're still working through that, but we needed to put that in there at this point, given the unknowns about bidding for some of our major electric projects, things like that. So there are a few major projects, which I think Jacob, if we go to that, Jacob, in the presentation part, these are all just the totals again of what I just told you. But in the electric utility, for major capital expenditures, we have about $7.9 million planned next year. And that is in a couple major components. One of those is our fiber to the home project, which began just towards the end of the year, and we have a small amount of that completed. A lot of that will happen in 2026, potentially going over a little bit into 2027. So what you have there is a map that just encompasses all of our communication service territories, so that is including all of Algona. Now, there are some portions of Algona within the city limits that already have fiber, so we won't be going to those areas, but a good portion of the town will get new fiber in 26 and into 27, and then the rural areas that we serve. So all the housing subdivisions outside of Algona we already serve will be getting those all upgraded to fiber as well. Focusing in town first, in those areas where we have the highest concentration, with the goal, obviously, of increasing bandwidth to all of our customers as we continue to use and demand a lot more bandwidth every day in our homes and businesses. So that's the big thrust, major electric project. The second one is another one that we're really excited about. Oh, and I also have NEIL 4 in there. So NEIL 4 is just for everybody's information. Algona Municipal Utilities is a joint owner of that coal-fired power plant that's near Sioux City, Iowa, south of Sioux City. That plant went into commercial operation in 1979, and that is the majority of our energy comes out of the NEIL 4 power plant. We own just shy of 3% of that power plant. So this represents the anticipated capital expenditures for our 3% of the plant next year in 2026. So that's something each year we have some capital expenditures, improvements to that plant that are ongoing. And that plant continues to be a great source of electricity for us. Of course, as I think I've talked to you all before, today what we do is we sell all of our electricity that we produce into the market every day, and then we buy back what we need, and then we get credits for the difference between what we own and what we sell and what we need. So it's slightly complicated, but we moved to a market-based system. When I first joined Algona Municipal Utilities, we bought everything we needed out of the NEIL 4 plant, or used everything we needed out of our share, and then if we needed a little extra, we bought it at a cost plus, and if we needed to sell some, we sold it at a cost plus. So pretty simple, those days are over. It's a complex commodities market, in which some of you know very well, commodities, but that's what the electric industry is today. So that's the NEIL 4 plan capital expenditures for 2026. The next slide shows another project that we plan to do in 2026. This is Hungry Hollow Road. So we'll be taking things and converting Hungry Hollow Road from about Highway 169 up to around one of the first corners there, converting that from overhead to underground in that area. So again, that, as you know, has been one of our major goals, to continue to work on that throughout our electric distribution system and continue to get those things from overhead to underground. We are, good news, the majority of our in-town areas, backyards and things like that are all converted to underground now. So we are now to the point where we just have major distribution feeders that need to be converted from overhead to underground. I think we have less than 50 overhead electric services now in the city limits. So we're pretty proud of that. It's taken a long time to get there, but we worked at it. The good news with all of that is that obviously it increases our resiliency, reduces outages. We have less concern about ice storms, windstorms, heavy wet snows, all of those things, and our redundancy is much, much better as a result of that. The next project is a big one that we plan to start in 2026. And this is converting from overhead to underground from our west substation right down here by Hall Street out to the four corners of 169 and 18, to the west up to the top of the hill by Pharmacist Mutual and the new Grand State Hotel, and then back to the east to about where Joe Henry Auto is located, and then up the hill to the north towards Erpeling Excavating and Iowa Lakes Community College Algona campus. So all of that will be converted from overhead to underground. We'll also be working with MediaCom to get them underground, go with us on that project as well, to clean up that whole area along there. Again, The big focus of that would be, we have aging infrastructure there. We also want to reduce our exposure to issues like wind, ice, snow, flooding, traffic types of issues, all of those potential things that we'll be doing with this project. The exciting thing about this project is we received a grant that'll pay for about 2/3 of the project. So again, that project we hope to go out to bid in the spring of 2026, and it will be completed over about a 2-year period. The next slide, I'll show some water projects that we're planning for 2026. That's about $615,000. One big one that we have is right near the East Lawn Cemetery. So there's a section there, which you can see highlighted in blue, that begins at Irvington Road. I almost forgot the road for a minute, and goes to the north or to the south towards the hospital. That may get extended a little bit in the hospital property or along the hospital right away. That's an area where we've seen a significant amount of water main breaks, so we need to replace that. We had a lot of discussion. Jacob and I talked about this. We've been working with Matt Cole here, and we're also looking at how can we incorporate water main replacement and also some electric improvements that are going to happen along Phillips Street. So we want to do that all together. Essentially what we do is we put in the water main with an open trench, and then we would build a shelf that we would lay conduit in for electric infrastructure and communications infrastructure, then with the goal to remove all the overhead power lines, any of our communications things, MediaCom, get all that underground in that area, and then we'll be working along Phillips Street as well with the rest of it. But this will allow us to put a new water main there that's badly needed, and also get electric infrastructure converted from overhead to underground in that area. And that will also include, not as part of the water main, but just as a side to that, there will be some things that we'll be looking at in terms of street lighting that we'll be working on in the next few years, and Jacob will be talking to you about that as we move ahead. So that is one of the water main projects that we want to do in 2026. Another small section here is on Hall Street, and we're just looping some water main, which we try to do really with all of our utilities and to provide redundancy. This section is fairly close to the Peck property right there, and we would also be looking, Jacob and I talked about this, in at least stubbing out service for future activities that will happen either in that existing building or other things that could happen on that property. And the next project, again, another small one here, is by Good Samaritan campus, and again, just looping water main for, that's less than a block right there that we put a loop in. Provides us some good redundancy in that area. And then for our communications, not as exciting, but replacement of a battery plant, which I believe I talked to you about last year. With other things going on, we did not do that. So that would be one of our plans for 2026. So those are the major projects that are part of the capital improvements portion of the budget. And of course, those are all of the total plans for expenses and revenues for 2026 on a high level. Any questions?
This is a battery plant used for.
So what we do, great question, Harley, is that we use a lot of our equipment there runs off of AC power or off of DC power, so we convert some of that equipment from our AC 120 volt to a different DC voltage for some of that communications equipment, and then we back it up with batteries. So in the event that we would have a power outage, we've got some time, especially for phone equipment, that we have some redundancy built in. Eventually, as our technology changes, that will go away, but we're still going to need that for the next several years.
I just want to say thank you for being foresighted and progressive to get the overhead power lines underground. So like you said, we don't have to worry so much about the wind and the ice storms and that. So.
Yeah, thank you. We're fortunate. We've got a very proactive board, great staff. Like I said, great working relationship here with city staff and all of you. Helps us get those things done.
I did just want to know why John's here. with the underground project by Four Corners there. So, you know, we've had discussions last couple of years about the welcome sign there in the southwest corner of Four Corners. So we've kind of been delaying work on that until we get, you know, AMU has this big project coming up, until we get kind of final plans on where all their infrastructure is going to go and how we might coordinate that. So the goal will be to continue to, you know, work, kind of coordinate that moving forward. So hopefully be making those sign upgrades, you know, I'm not sure if it'll be in 26, but probably calendar year 27 on that. So I think it's last few budget years it's come up, but it's just kind of been we're waiting for this project rather than doing some work, and then we might have to move it or change it or kick ourselves for putting something in an inconvenient spot for this big project.
Yeah, we do appreciate your patience with that as we've been trying to make these plans. Although we don't like all this type of snow, but this snow has helped us maybe identify the right location as we see where everything gets piled and where we're going to need to be able to have a safe access area. And then again, we don't like flooding either, but when it floods down there by the river, that's also helped us identify where we don't want to put equipment, things like that.
Beans, what you mentioned there, I think of South Phillips, that was one that we were kind of waiting on. We had looked at some development of that area, and so we're wondering if it actually be north of that area. Are those, I guess, I don't even know, are those electric underground there or not yet?
No, they are, and that's a great question. As part of our fiber project, we're actually going to put in the infrastructure, which would be the ductwork, to be able to get everything underground along Phillips Street in that area. So we also need to work with, and want to work with MediaCom in that area. CenturyLink is on the other side of the road. We'll be having some discussions about how we can get them motivated to get some things underground as well. But this will all, over the next few years, Harley, I think we're going to get that all accomplished, which is a big goal. That area, as you probably know, if you drive down it, there is very little right-of-way, and trying to figure out, we're going to have to get some private easements in some areas, work with some of the business owners along there for transformers and things like that. We put in stainless steel equipment today because no matter what you do, you're going to get snow plows are going to put a lot of snow, sand, salt up along that equipment, and it reduces its life. That's just what happens. But we may have an opportunity to put some back farther as long as we're not creating problems for those businesses that are there, but we'll have to work with all of them individually.
It's just something, it's just kind of a reminder that being on the council, you kind of get used to things don't happen like right now, because when you have a good idea for something, it's like, well, you need to do this first, and this needs to come before that, and sometimes it's years, but then all of a sudden it happens, and people say, oh, when did you talk about that? Well, 8 years ago.
And I think it's been well before that we discussed it. One of the, I don't know if I'd say challenges, but that infrastructure was in good shape. And as we looked at our other areas and where we needed to put money, we had places that needed a lot more. So as we've been working together, it's something that Jacob and I talk about. He reminds me of every year. Hey, when are we going to get this accomplished?
Yeah.
So again, appreciate everybody's patience on that. We're getting closer.
Some of the, not go too far off topic, but kind of some of the wait and see has been, you know, with that being a state highway, what the DOT plans for that were. And I think, you know, in some of the plans I've seen from, you know, the mid-2000s, it was, okay, well, hopefully the next time the DOT goes in there and does a full reconstruction, that's when we redo everything and put it underground. I guess good news and bad news. The good news is we did get notice earlier this year that the DOT plans on rehabbing a significant portion of that road this coming year. The bad news of that is it won't be a full reconstruction. You know, we kind of with that, you know, update, you know, it hasn't, we've talked to them before, you know, it hasn't made their kind of 5-year plan list of that, okay, well, if they're going to be doing a pavement rehab, we know it's probably going to be at least, you know, 10 plus years before they're looking at reconstruction now. So some of these things it might make sense just to go ahead and move forward with, as opposed to, you know, wait for the DOT to make improvements there, because, yeah, that section of road definitely needs work, so we're happy to get some work done. We're just kind of hoping to do the full recount.
And for us, as we plan for all of these things, the most important, all of that being said, the most important part is what about the right of way? Does that change that in discussions with Jacob, with Matt, and the things they've talked about with DOT? That's not going to get widened, which it really can't anymore. So that was the important thing. Is that going to change that at all? Is it going to get more narrow, which it's not, I don't think. So we feel we're going to be safe in using the right of way that we have today, or acquiring private easements, or getting private easements.
John, great update.
John? Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you all.
So I entertain a motion to approve the
Make a
budget.
motion to accept the budget from DMU.
Okay.
Second.
Motion from Brad, second from Don. Any other discussion? Roll call, Deb?
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. John?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 10 is resolution approving the airport capital improvement plan.
This is an annual item. We update the airport capital improvement plan every 5 years. Got, I think it all fits on the screen there, but kind of what we have in program for FY, or the plans for FY 27, FY 31, and then the list on the filing page doesn't have dates, just kind of a wish list to keep it on the FAA and DOT's radar. But this is important in terms of we go to apply for all the different funding sources that we have, that when they do their programming out, that they know, okay, how much should we allocate, for different projects. So obviously, coming to the end of some significant upgrades out there. But this CIP, there's no new projects that weren't in the previous two versions that we approved. Really just have been updated, with cost estimates. And so kind of the next couple of projects out there that we'll be looking at is some concrete and runway rehab. And then in FY 27 and FY 28, upgrading and replacing fuel systems. And then in 28, coordinating with what we have for other street projects going on. So that date isn't as critical, but sometime within that 28 range, redoing the driveway and the parking lot out of the airport. And then in 2029, is when we'll do our kind of big, once every 10 years, airport master planning that we have budgeted for that. So all those except for the entrance road are 90-10 federal to local dollars, and the reason why on the fuel system improvements that those are spread out over 2 years is the most we get from the Iowa DOT for those projects is $400,000. Just maximizing those. So yeah, it doesn't obligate us to do any of these projects specifically, but kind of allows the DOT and the state to plan these projects when they're making program decisions.
Motion to approve the airport capital improvement resolution.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb?
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. John?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 11 is resolution amending the city attorney's wage rate.
This is a resolution that would increase the hourly rate of the city attorney to $2.40 an hour, effective January 1st, 2026.
We already have it budgeted though for, if you change the budget, better to delay it to the 1st of July.
I mean, it's one of those, I mean,
I know it's not a lot.
it varies so much year to year depending on what's going on. Like when we had, so we budget for legal and we kind of just have a larger contingency for professional services. So Like this last year, if we have to go to court to acquire a house, so we actually, there's trial, corrected trial, that's a lot more. We had to acquire all the airport easements a couple of years ago, our legal bills were moving up, that's just, that got reimbursed some of that. So really, kind of, it's one of those things that really varies a lot, but, the last, couple of years were right around that, $40,000 to $50,000 a year for basically all the legal services that we get from the firm.
So we're looking to do it January 1st unless we.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm requesting.
That's what you're requesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm requesting, that's correct. Yeah.
That's correct. I don't know what's the other council page.
Well, it kind of comes down to how much we
Yeah.
need the services, and I expect that the first part of the year might be the slower part anyway for that, so.
What was the hourly rate?
It's currently 210,
So it'll change to $30 an hour.
Yeah. and my first memo had that, yeah, I corrected it, 200 an hour, oh, it's 210. Now, Paul, you have any comments on guide or
No,
other billing, little rates that you otherwise charge?
I'll be perfectly blunt. It was an oversight on my part because I intended to raise it starting July 1 of '25. So, but again, I'm the one that comes to the council to ask for an increase, and I didn't do it then. So I told Jacob a couple weeks ago that I was going to have it be effective January 1 of '26 instead. So again, I just feel it's appropriate, and due to my oversight, the city has saved a few bucks for 6 months. And, but again, in all seriousness, I would like to start January 1.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any other discussion?
We are approving that it starts January 1, right? Okay, just clarifying. Okay.
We appreciate what you do, Paul.
Thank you.
Roll call then?
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 12 is a pay application for the Nebraska Street Flooring Reconstruction Project, and Matt Cole is back at the podium with us.
All right, in the packet, you'll find the pay application number 6 for Castor Construction, the amount of $551,129.63. This is for work completed from November 1st through December 5th. Recommend to approve the pay app, and there will be one more pay app in January for this kind of construction season for work completed after December 5th that they've been working on it for the last week, and the final cleanup stuff that they'll have finishing up this week, so.
Did you do a punch list in the spring?
Yep, they've completed some of the punch list items. We've prepared a punch list for the fall here, for the winter. They've gotten a few things off of the list, but the remaining punch list items will be done in the spring.
And then with including retainage, we have just shy of $300,000 still left on the project contract.
Yep, most of that is plantings and all the kind of final establishment, sod and that kind of stuff.
Main thing is the concrete's poured, like I said.
All the pavement's
Vast
poured,
majority.
all the pavers that you drive on are installed. and-
Street lights are up and
Yep,
everything.
all the street lights, all the permanent signage for traffic control, the street signs, the stop signs, all that stuff is
Yeah.
fully installed and operational.
Motion to approve pay application then.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any other discussion? Roll call then?
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Agenda item number 13 is to approve a pay application for the library exterior improvements.
This is pay application number 7, in the amount of $24,560.36. This is, covers the last 2 months of work since we've had a pay app. We were supposed to have a construction meeting last Wednesday, and that was a review of the redone brickwork by the masonry subcontractor. That work, basically our goal is to find a section of the building that gets done to an acceptable level, and that, okay, as long as you apply that tolerance to the rest of the building will be good. That has still not been done. And so we're not, paying for architects to come up, when really that's the critical step we're waiting for. So I was hoping to have kind of more of an update on the timeline for when that contractor will be resuming that work. We don't have one yet. I know I'm talking with the library board. They've made comments, or I missed the last one because of the airport commission, but talked with Lori, who had talked to the library board. That might just be something that if they, resume this in the spring. But the real holdup on that right now is the brick work, and they want to go ahead and proceed and tent it and basically do the whole thing. Given kind of the quality concerns and issues we have, I think we're a little bit nervous about that effort. As from talking with the architects and research, it's as long as you maintain a minimum temperature, tenting it's not an issue. But it's one thing to kind of have to go into winter and finish it out that way. It's another thing when basically majority of the buildings having to get redone and having to tent through the heart and all of winter. But as with that said, we do have just shy of $290,000 left on this project of the $627,000 contract. So nearly 50% to hold over the contractor to get this work done. That project's supposed to be done October 15th. Obviously, that has not happened. So it's been a bit frustrating. I've had multiple meetings with the owner of Kingland and the architect on site looking at different things. But we expect that to now be finished up. Some work might still occur this winter, but really be finished up in the spring. And then basically the metal panels or the metal siding, that can't go up until the brickwork is done, just to make sure that everything's tight and waterproof and grounded correctly. So fortunately, it might be the reality that we're kind of looking at a half-done building over the winter, which I know is frustrating and disappointing for everyone, but also some of the challenges you have to work through, I guess.
Yeah, no, if they were to tent it and continue on the work, and they have fuel for running the heaters and stuff, I imagine all this just adds into the cost of doing the project, right?
To the contractor, yes, not for us.
Not for us?
Not for us.
Okay. I mean, I was wondering the same thing as I was watching on Thornton down here as the workers were shoveling snow. I thought, well, on a summer day, they'd be pouring cement right now, but no, they're shoveling snow. I wondered how much of that labor cost gets handed down to the city and how much is absorbed for not having the job done.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of one of the, hedges as a contractor you make on projects, and you have like, a fixed, fee. It's really up to you on means and methods of, if you can crank it out real quick, everything goes lickety-split. You might put a good, dollar in your pocket, but if things drag on and, there's subcontractor work that has to get rejected and redone, how they handle that between the general and the sub, that's between them, because we're really looking at, performance. This is the price, and, this is what the expectations are, and you gotta, hit that. That's, pros and cons, depending on the situation, which side of the table you're on, for different projects of, how our municipal contracts are set up. But yeah, in terms of the delay in the project, but yeah, in terms of, the extra effort and things like that to complete the project, that's at no cost to the city. Ultimately, it's up to the contractor to find a way to achieve the performance and the results at the price that was bid.
Motion to approve pay application number 7.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don. Jessica? Okay, for Jessica. Any other discussion? Roll call then.
Kathy? Yes. Harlan?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 14 is approve another pay application. This is for the sanitary sewer manhole improvement project.
So this pay application number 2 is for Reddings and covers the end of the year work that they had that missed the last first pay app we had for this project on the manhole point repairs. So all the work that had the intermediate deadline, that's been completed, and I think they even got one of ahead of one that wasn't on that intermediate deadline. So they'll be resuming that work in the spring to finish that project up. So this pay application is for $117,128.88.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Roll call then.
Kathy? Yes. Harlan?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes. Motion carried. Agenda item number 15 is to approve another pay application, this one for the wastewater treatment improvement project.
Yes, this is from Woodruff Construction, the amount of $1,078,010.67 for work materials completed in the month of November. The engineer has reviewed and recommends approval. Just a real quick note, we did get the oxidation ditch system. We did wet testing on that a couple weeks ago, and then last week we started filling it for to start getting it operational. So starting, it was Friday, we are now operating basically 2 wastewater plants at the same time as we get the oxidation ditch online. So part of the city sewage is being treated by our current trickling system filter. Some of that's now going into the oxidation ditch system. We're getting kind of the bugs as the term that they use, but basically the bacteria that interacts and does what nature does within the oxidated system. We're getting some of those from, I believe it's Fort Dodge. They'll kind of seed our plant to kickstart it, so it doesn't take as long for our bugs to grow. So these next couple of months, the wastewater guys and Mark, they've done a great job throughout construction. And I'm sure they will continue to do, but now they are seeing a little bit more on the plate because they're operating both plants now at the same time, and we've had the equipment provider in doing training and things like that. So it's really starting to get exciting down there. But this spring they'll kind of finish that transition, and then in summer basically start demo on all the old equipment once everything's turned over to the new system.
Gainan.
I think we got about $11 million left on the $28 million contract after this payout.
Move to approve pay app.
Second.
Motion from Brad, second from Don to approve this pay application. Any discussion? Roll call then.
Kathy? Yes. Harlan?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 16, this is the final notification of terms expiring on the Planning and Zoning Commission, Mark Erpelding and Carl Westlings. These are appointments by the council. Was the council able to visit with Mark or find a replacement for Carl? Anybody? That's it. Okay. We'll move that to the next council meeting. Agenda item number 17, this is the final notification of terms expiring on the Housing Commission. Dave Van Gorkum and Scott Ray's terms both expired the 1st of January. And I visited with both of those, and they have agreed to serve again, so I would recommend their reappointment. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 18, this is the final notification of terms expiring on the Parks and Rec Commission. Connie Ludwig, Tony Wida, and Molly Lichting. Their terms expire at the end of this calendar year, December 31st. And I just happened to see all three of these listed with them, and they all three agreed to serve another term as well, so I recommend their reappointment.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion from Don, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. And agenda item number 19, this is the first notification of Bernie Merrill's term expiring on the Broadband Telecommunications Commission. That expires the end of this year as well. So that's just the first notification. And the final agenda item is agenda item number 20, and this is a discussion item for the fiscal year 26-27 budget schedule.
Provided a handout to everyone, I'll just throw up here on the screen, but kind of just want to walk through our timeline for the, it's going to get hard to say, FY27 budget. Seems like we were just doing this, but that's the way it goes, I guess. So kind of have here a tentative schedule based on our council meeting schedule with some of the key deadlines to coincide with the state. So January 1st is when the deadline is for the counties to get all the property tax information to the state to get uploaded. Some years it gets there a little bit sooner than others, but we kind of just plan that January 1st, that's when we'll actually get taxable valuation, so we can start doing math on, where we're at on our, kind of looking at our property tax revenue scenarios for the various levies. The rollback rate did go down slightly, but we also know with it the assessment year that will, apply for this year's assessments went up, so we'll kind of wait and see where that shakes out. We can't really, predict too much until we know what those ultimate taxable valuations are and what, additional credits that have been ramped up through like the senior tax credit, things like that, and how those might, impact. Looking at kind of starting things off here in January at that first meeting, having KCEDC present at a work session, and then just going over some of the revenues on just a real, high level initial look at our property tax outlook, and then local option sales tax, hotel, motel, and road use tax. Those are, we can do a little bit more predicting earlier on those. Then we're looking at the second meeting in January, and then both meetings in February is when we kind of meet with all the department heads and go through department budgets between a combination of those three meetings. Probably looking at that first meeting in February is when we kind of dive into property taxes, just to kind of give us enough time to really, play with it, see, what scenarios we might want to do, kind of based on that, and then where other revenues are looking. In the past, we use local option sales tax to supplement, and reduce property tax levies. So kind of look at some of those scenarios to present and share, as well as get updates on things like where our workers' comp, health insurance expenses, things are supposed to be. So in the past, we've started property taxes a little bit earlier, but we're still kind of waiting on some of those data points. So I think some of it kind of comes, redundant. So we're, might kind of just wait to focus on that till we're in February. But kind of the next kind of key deadlines for us is we need to have our maximum property tax rates. At the March 2nd meeting, we'll need to set those. Those are due to the state by March 5th. So it's for the property tax hearing notice. That's the one that the county sends out. That's the city, school, and county all in one notice. So we'll need to have, again, that's just, we used to have a maximum property tax hearing. It's not that anymore, but this essentially is that. We can always charge less than that, but this max is setting, the cap that we can't exceed. Then we'll kind of depending on how things go, if we need to, use work sessions or kind of just using the council meetings to finish our budget. But we won't be able to hold our property tax hearing until April 6th. And then, so we are looking at right now, that again has to be held at its own separate meeting. So the property tax hearing, we would plan to have on April 6th at 4 p.m. during a special meeting. And then we can't set our budget public hearing until after that meeting's been held. And so come the regular meeting on April 6th, at that point, we would set our budget public hearing for the 20th of April, hold the hearing on the 20th, adopt the budget that day, and then it is due to the state April 30th.
The work sessions, do you think would start at 4 then? Is that kind of what you're telling us this?
Yeah, that's what we anticipate. We don't have to do that for. We could always do work sessions, after the regular meeting. We can, do work sessions on, a different night of the week. It doesn't have to be coincide with the regular city council meeting. I know between work and personal and kids' activities, everyone's busy, but so if we wanted to switch that up, there's no right or wrong way to do it.
I think they'd like to meet the 12th and the 26th and maybe February 9th too, just to make sure they're all good to go. I don't know why they wouldn't, geez.
Yeah.
Budget's
Sounds like a
important.
great idea.
Budget's important. You guys
Thanks, Rod.
gotta continue to meet a little bit.
We love outside opinions, don't we?
Just trying to help. Want that budget to be right on track.
So,
And when we, reconvene on the 5th, there's obviously still plenty of time that, we can, adjust the schedule then. It will, we just want to kind of start coordinating with our department heads on, hey, what night of the week and, plan to have them there. But, by no means do we have to make the decision tonight on this is the
the
schedule.
whole 3 months.
This is kind of just laid out based on our regular meetings, but, we can go back, take a look at your appointment books, and if you want to switch it up, we certainly can. But I think we're going to try to, I think it'll work fine to kind of all the department heads to think of doing those in kind of 3 different sessions. But, if you want to do one marathon or, 2, longer sessions. One thing I do kind of like about this schedule is we have a couple of, kind of March 2nd and March 16th. If we need to, we can, revisit anything or continue to hash something out, but, kind of some options in there to, if we need to dive deeper into things with 3 meetings isn't enough.
Remember in the past, we've met on different Monday nights also, not city council meeting, but the ones in between too, so. There you go. All right. Any other questions for Jacob, or do you have anything, Jacob, on this? Good, okay.
One other before you go, planning and zoning, I don't know if we can vote now, but I'd be willing to look at Carl Weston. Since I'm still on council, I don't know if we can do that yet or wait till next meeting. And we might have others, so I will throw that out there.
Okay.
Well, I say we're our message on, but
Yeah,
we could certainly in the next meeting.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of say, okay.
And somebody should call Mark, he's been a long time member.
Exactly.
No, I can call Mark too.
Yeah.
I can call them too.
Okay, yeah, because let's get this wrapped up at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give them a
Okay,
call.
we'll put it back on the agenda then for next time, yeah. Good, okay. Okay, it's 5:55, and before we adjourn, I just want to wish everyone a safe and happy holiday. So I entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.